Welcome and thank you for joining us for this Local Decision 2015 Candidate Spotlight. Today I'm sitting down with Mike Schweigert, who's running for Circle Pines City Council. Mike, thanks for coming in today and spending some time with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, first off, just the kind of easy question that I'm sure you've asked yourself and other people have asked you so far is just, why did you decide to run for this office?
Well, that started years ago, actually. Back in, I would say, 1998. I'd gotten my college degree, moved to Minnesota from up from Michigan, and kind of took a look around, and I felt that there was something else I could give. And I decided to become a firefighter. So since about 1998, I've been a firefighter. I was with Bloomington for a couple of years. Then I moved to Circle Pines. And I've been a Circle Pines firefighter since 2001. I've been your captain out of Circle Pines for about 5 years. And about a year ago, I started having that same feeling that there was more that I could do. So about 6 months ago, I joined the local Circle Lex Lions, and I became a board member with them. So I'm having a ball with that organization. And I also started talking with some of the existing council members about how much it takes to join up with become a council. And they explained it to me, and it's initially it's a lot of information, going through the budgets and all that stuff and learning more about the community. But I think this is another way that I can really help my neighbors.
Okay. Well, let's start talking about budget. You just mentioned it. Taxes is a topic that comes up often for candidates and for sitting council members. When you, from an outsider's perspective, because you're not on the council right now, when you look at a city budget, what are the most important items for you in a city budget?
Well, based on my background personally, I'm big on public safety. Of course, that's going to be high on my list. So the police and fire, I think, need to be strong, but I think they need to be very efficient also. And there's ways you can cut costs within. But anytime you start cutting costs, you have to remember that you will be decreasing service in some way. So I think it's important to educate the public. Anytime you make a cut, something as important as public safety, that there will be a decrease in patrol or the number of firefighters and things like that. The second most important for me is I would say the road projects. Within the budget, and kudos to the administration. About 2007 or 2008, they started a road construction program that was very future. It was a 15-year project. They had engineers go and look at all the different streets in our city and put them on a list, and this one needs to be fully replaced, this one needs to be mill and overlaid, this one needs to be just resurfaced. And that's been very successful. And then I think going down is the amenities with the parks and rec and trails and things like that.
Mm-hmm. And kind of on the flip side of that question, when you look at a budget, if things did need to be cut out of a budget or did need to be trimmed out of a budget, are there certain areas where you would look first in that area?
Well, again, starting at the top of the list, what I think is more important, I would hope to be able to come up from the bottom. But, I mean, there's always room. I mean, the public safety is the largest chunk of the pie. So looking at that, that's important to make sure that that's being run efficiently. But before I make any cuts there, I would prefer to make cuts farther down the list.
Okay. Let's talk about public safety a little bit more. With Lino Lakes leaving the Centennial Fire District, what effect will that have on Circle Pines? And is a shared fire district model still something that's viable for Circle Pines?
Yeah, so what we're planning to do right now is the Centennial Fire District is planning to stay together through Circle Pines and Centerville. We're going to retain at least the amount of firefighters we have now within those two stations. We're going to continue the same level of service, so that we'll be going to all medical calls, we'll be going to all fires as EMTs and so forth. So the level of service isn't changing. The problem with that is, since it's a smaller chunk of pie that our budget is smaller, it's actually going to increase taxes. And I believe it's going to be around $20 per capita, which is, when you just say $20, it's not a whole lot, but you start talking about percentages, that is an increase in taxes. And that's where we have to look at whether we need to keep the level of service, which the current council has decided is correct, and I agree with them. The level of service we're providing now through Centennial Fire District, I think, is where we need to be.
Okay. Let's switch topics again and kind of look at development. Now, Circle Pines, built out city, not much land.
Yeah.
But are there things that, as a fresh voice coming on the council, that you would like to speak into in the area of development or maybe redevelopment opportunities within the city?
Of course, the big one everybody talks about is the Down Under. I mean, that's currently, it's tied up in litigation and banks as far as I know. But that's the one chunk of land that we have, large chunk of land that's available. Everything else is either already developed with residential or commercial, or it's wetland. So it's very difficult. I would be very hard pressed to support anything with eminent domain where you're taking someone's homes. I believe that a person's home is their castle. So I would be very hard pressed, unless they agreed to it, to do something like that. And that's where I think we're very challenged as far as bringing in any commercial properties at this point. I mean, we can make our city more attractive. I mean, but in 2011 we were voted the third best suburb in the entire nation by CNBC. So I mean, we are already a very attractive community. But there's more we can do with the parks and the trails. I know there's some trails that we want to bring in. So I think that's the road I'd go down.
When looking at the amenities that a city has, and this kind of follows up on that development idea, are there things that the city you think is lacking currently that you'd be a voice to bring into the community as far as amenities or different types of businesses? If you had an opportunity to bring in things to the city, what would you want for your city?
I've heard talk from the residents. There's a couple trails that they want to have developed. Of course, that is a lot of money, but that's a need, a want of the community. As far as bringing in commercial, it's very difficult. I did sit and meet with a couple people on administrations on what the city council's role could be on that. It's very difficult because usually it falls onto the landowner, the landowner who's renting, and whether they want to put a new facade on or resurface. That's not something the council can force on them. So it's a really difficult position we're in right now as far as bringing in more businesses.
Let's talk about roads. You mentioned it a little bit beforehand, and there is the current management plan and reconstruction plan going on in Circle Pines. And even looking forward with that and possibly other things, what steps would you take as a council member to ensure that the roadways are maintained when they need to be, upgraded when they need to be, and bring in citizen input into that?
Yeah, so far we're about halfway through that 15-year plan, and the feedback I've got from the residents that I've talked to has been, well, I would call it fantastic. In reality, what they're saying is, well, I understand it's a need we have to have. It's a pain in the butt to have my driveway ripped up and have to pay money out, but they realize that it's increasing their property value. So the best thing I could say about it is they're not complaining about it. They're saying it's something that has to happen. But here again, we're halfway through this plan. We really do need to start looking at a future plan similar to what we have now for the following 10 to 15 years too. And the way we have it laid out with the budget, it's been fantastic. Again, kudos to the administration that we're not seeing a huge spike in taxes or anything like that because they've planned it out so well. And I think we need to do something like that again soon.
When you think of being a council member, what do you think are some of the most important qualities or most important responsibilities of a council member? What does that role look like to you?
Well, for one, I think you need to be a good listener, respectful to anybody that comes in there. Some of the citizens can be. I mean, this is affecting their homes and their lives, so they come in there with a lot of emotion. You have to be a good listener. You have to be respectful. I think you also have to be an educator. So if I'm personally behind an event, if I support a project, my position there is when someone comes in is listen to what they're saying, but also educate them and why it's good for possibly them or their community, all right? And then after that, of course, you have to be a good decision maker. You have to be able to take all the facts together, and while you have a small minority that doesn't agree, does that still outweigh the better of the community?
If you were elected as a council member, what would you do to do that listening? What, besides just people coming to a council meeting, what are ways that maybe you would interact with the community or with the citizens in the community? Oh,
that face-to-face interaction is probably the most important thing you can do. And whether you're knocking on doors or you're going to community events, is you're showing your face and you're opening yourself up to talk, to listen, and let people know that you're there and that you care, and you're not just going to make a decision and too bad, so sad. I think it's very important to get that face-to-face interaction.
Okay. Let's finish up today with a final question of just why should a resident of Circle Pines vote for you on Election Day?
Well, I think I have a proven record of service, with being a firefighter for almost 15 years now, captain for 5. Actually, about 3 years ago, I made a total career change. I was, my degree is in business computer information systems, so I'm a database programmer. But I saw an opportunity to go and become a full-time firefighter recruitment coordinator for the entire county. So now I'm managing a $1.2 million grant for all of Anoka County, and we kind of label it Minnesota Fire Hire. But I took a big cut in pay just for that opportunity to go out and help the people in my community. And not just my community, but the entire county. I saw this as a great opportunity. So, I mean, I've proven myself that I've been dedicating my life to serving others, and this is just another way I can do it.
All right. Well, Mike, thanks for coming in today and taking some time out of your schedule to answer these questions and put your views before the voters.
Thank you.
All right. I want to remind you that you can read more about any of the candidates running this fall on northmetrotv.com. You can also watch more of these candidate spotlights right there on northmetrotv.com or on Channel 15. I've been your host, Ben Hale. Thank you for watching.